It is hard to find love. That's right, we are going deep today, because it seems sometimes you have to meet the wrong person 100 times before you finally meet the right one. They then turn out to be nuts, so you have to start over again. I tell you, it's exhausting. So if you're a wrestler and you meet a fan and they seem quite nice, why not head to dinner and see what happens? The worst is they just tell you how they'd booked the show, and you better get out of that one ASAP. It has happened a lot though, so I'm Simon from What Culture. Remember to respect your elders and subscribe. And this is 10 wrestlers who married their fans. Number 10, Jerry Lawler. One that is quite famous in the wrestling world as it resulted in quite the backstage fallout. Jerry Lawler was already a huge star when he met Stacey Carter at a charity softball game in 1989. That date will probably surprise you, but yes, it was another 11 years before these two got married. Carter was the fan attending the event along with her mother, who was dating one of the players on Lawler's team, and they got to chatting. This would evolve with Carter going to some of the King's matches in the Memphis area, and by the late 90s she was a full-blown manager and had moved in with Jerry as the relationship blossomed. It was September 2000 they tied the knot, and soon after this, the Cat, as Stacey was now known, was let go from the WWF, and Lawler followed her. He was going to stick with his wife. Sadly, they split up soon after, so Jerry returned to the company, but yeah, this is the very definition of the title of this video. Number 9, The Ultimate Warrior. Dana Warrior once told Chris Jericho on his podcast that she felt time stood still when she bumped into the Ultimate Warrior. She was a student at Arizona State University, and the Ultimate One just happened to open up a nearby gym. Deciding that she would meet the man as well as maybe land a job, Dana headed up that way, and lo and behold, there he was, tassels and all. I mean, that's not true. I'm sure he was dressed as a normal human being. The Warrior was obviously quite taken with her too, but Dana felt it important to remain professional, but you know what happens. Love won out and the pair got hitched in January 1999, and they had 2 daughters. After the fact, she admitted she wasn't a huge wrestling fan, but did admire the once Jim Hellwig, and she has been a semi-regular feature of WWE TV ever since the Warrior passed away in 2014. Number 8, Chris Jericho. As the story goes, Chris Jericho may have the Disco Inferno to thank for meeting his wife Jessica Lockhart. Disco was apparently chatting to Jessica at a restaurant in Florida, probably dancing away at the same time, following a WCW show, and when Jericho noticed this, he was quite taken by Miss Lockhart, so he decided to take a risk and say hello. Describing her as breathtakingly beautiful, Chris asked Inferno what the deal was, and when he said she was just a friend, Le Champion thought he'd try his luck. Turns out this was the right thing to do because they hit it off, got married in July 2000, and are still together 22 years later. That seems quite rare in the wrestling industry, so fair play to those guys. It must be called love. Number 7, Edge. We are stretching it a bit here because Beth Phoenix not only became a wrestler, but a very good one at that. Still, when Adam Copeland was already spearing fools on WWF TV, Beth had only just started doing independent dates, meaning in 2001, the Rated R superstar had been a star for a good 3 years. You'd have to imagine Phoenix was a fan then, because who the hell wasn't after those TLC matches, all of which occurred before Beth signed a developmental deal in 2004. Even then, the pair wouldn't meet for years afterwards, and it was actually at the Edge Appreciation Night in 2011 they were able to have a proper chat, and boom, there was something there, and then they got married. This must have been so wild in many ways though, because you get inspired by the entire roster, you become a wrestler yourself, and then you just happen to fall in love with one of the best to ever do it. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome. Number 6, Mickie James. Nick Aldis has done a lot in wrestling, and he was also a gladiator. Not bad going, especially because right now he's only in his mid-30s. As he was making his way through the ranks though before getting a big break with TNA in 2008, Mickie James had been smashing it on television for ages. There was no way Aldis as a fan himself wouldn't have known and been impressed by Mickie, because she rocked. Aldis has backed this up too by saying he was a fan of her matches with Trish Stratus, and when they finally shook hands in total non-stop action, that was that. They hit it off, and they got wed in 2015. It's only gone from strength to strength as they also have a son together, and just go and find the clip where Nick talks about how infatuated he was when they met in person. It's really rather quite sweet. Number 5, CM Punk. We have all seen that clip of AJ Lee as a youngster tearing up as she meets Lita. Heartwarming isn't even the word, especially as Lee would use that inspiration to follow her hero's footsteps. That is always cool. When she was finally in the big time, she did meet one CM Punk, and then by 2014, they were married. It takes all of one look at their social media to see this is very much a wonderful match, but given that AJ didn't have her first encounter in wrestling till 2007 and wasn't in WWE till 2009, once more you have to figure that Lee was a fan of CM Punk. I mean, seriously, who wasn't? He was the man. even if the powers that be didn't really get it. He'd also been world champion though, and I doubt AJ just stopped watching wrestling when she was training, so it seems very likely she would have been a supporter of the voice of the voiceless before they met and realized this was the one. Once again, all this is wonderful. Number 4, Whisper. So this is quite the story. When Whisper was part of the WCW Nitro Girls, who were a group in WCW that just used to come out and dance for some reason, she had a fan on the other show, and his name was Shawn Michaels. Heartbreak Kid was so taken aback by the real-life Rebecca, he asked some of his buddies who she was, and then life got involved. Because fate decided that she would start working out at a gym owned by a friend of Mr. Michaels, and even though Shawn was aware it could be a little bit creepy, he introduced himself and he took his shot. It gets even better because Whisper barely knew who HBK was despite working in the business, so it was absolutely Michaels who was the fan here. This was another home run, however, as they got married, with Shawn also being very open about the fact it was his wife who helped him get him through some very difficult personal issues, and as we all know, that was absolutely for the best. Number 3, Sable. And it's the same with this one, as it was none other than Brock Lesnar who pursued Sable, with the rumor being they were dating before her relationship with Mark Mero had officially ended. As Mero joked with Steve Austin though, he was ready to fight her new lover until he found out it was the Beast. Yeah, that's a smart move. The first year of their courtship seemed a bit rocky as they did break it off, but Brock would not be deterred. There's a very nuts story in Lesnar's own book about how he broke into Sable's apartment and called her off her own phone, but I tell you, it's best you just go read it for yourself. It's come out since that Brock admired her from afar ever since he signed a developmental deal in 2000, and again, there must have been something to all of this, because they got married, and they remain so to this day, and they live on that farm in Saskatchewan where nobody is allowed to go. Number 2, Bret Hart. Go and read Bret Hart's book. It is refreshingly honest as he lays out his career for both the good and the bad, including how he wasn't the most faithful husband on the road. His first wife, Julie, tired of this, and in 2002 they divorced, before the hitman met his next significant other at a fan signing. Hart was in Italy handing out pictures when he said hello to Cinzia Rota, and clearly this appreciation went both ways. Bret was quite taken with her, asked her out for a drink before popping the question in 2004. Sadly, this was quite short-lived as Cinzia didn't want to leave her native land, so they went their separate ways, but Hart ever since has only ever said nice things about her. He would also go on to marry Stephanie Washington in 2010, and although she wasn't a fan, I just wanted to let you know that Bret is very happy. Number 1, Randy Orton. This is the best. Told by Kim Kessler on the Wives of Wrestling podcast, which you should go and listen to, the future Mrs. Orton was very open about the fact that when her kids got her back into wrestling, she was very enamored with one Randy Orton. She would tell her children to call her when he was on TV and would even joke that one day she would marry him. It turns out she actually meant it. Because when the WWE was in town, Kim and the family rocked down to the event and, like we all would do, shouted at Randy Orton when he came to the ring. After his match though, the Viper spied her, clearly thought she looked quite nice, so he sparked up a chat. He also made sure a security guard gave Kim his number, they met for dinner, and today they are married with kids of their own. I mean, seriously, what a tale. It should be made into a movie. Randy has also said that it was Kim who helped him leave behind his more renegade ways and transform him into the human he is today, which, let's face it, is a pretty damn good dude. Know of any other wrestlers who married their fans? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com where you could read articles like this. Please do watch another video, and we are on social media, so if you want to give us a follow, please do just that. My name is Simon from What Culture. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I will talk to you very soon.